So to have a family is awesome. I'm very honored to do this tonight.
Thank you so much.
We are now live.
Okay. Okey-doke. Oh boy. I'm looking especially dark. Oh, let me change my name. Change it. Okay. Let's see if I can, if WhatsApp is back on. Good evening. We can't hear you. You're muted. DY, you're muted.
You are the facilitator. So go ahead.
I'm here. I'm the one for tonight. Tiffany is on. She's going to be helping us out. And yeah, we're like.
All right, we can start.
I thought we still have 2 minutes, right?
We're already live.
Oh, okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope your day has been great. I know the weather has been a little bit iffy here in the Northeast, but it's good to see you. Thank you so much. Before we start, for real, can you just, tag someone, send this link. If you're on YouTube, send it to someone. If you're here, invite someone by text. I know Facebook is down, Instagram is down, WhatsApp is down, but we're not down. So why don't we just quickly invite someone and let's get this started. So my name is Tokes. I'm a volunteer with TouchLink. Yay! And tonight we have the privilege of bringing on Miss Felicia Babalola. Now, Miss Felicia, thank you, Chichi. Thank you so much. You're welcome, everybody, again. So we have the privilege of having on here with us tonight, Miss Felicia Babalola. Now, Miss Felicia is not a stranger to TouchLink. She was with us this time last year. She's been with us all through 2021, and here she is again. A little about her. She's someone who's a little bit private, so it's just a little bit about her. She's a mom, a proud mom. She's a child of God. She went through this journey also, so she's going to be talking to us from a place of experience. She's not just talking theory. This is what she went through. Professionally, she's a licensed therapist. And when we say therapist, I mean mental health and behavioral therapist. Okay. And also she's a cosmetologist. So maybe she'll drop a few tips here and there for us. She's a self-care coach and she's an entrepreneur. So if you can just unmute your line real quickly and let's just give her a welcome. Let's welcome her. Let's welcome her. You're welcome. You're welcome, Miss Felicia. You're welcome. And you are muted. Your line is muted.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How's everyone doing?
Great. Great.
All right, so am I starting?
Yes,
Oh, no, I
please.
think you should say something. Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely introduction as well. I'm honored to be here tonight. Thank you so much, TouchLink, for inviting me. I feel very, very privileged to be able to share my story and to be able to bless someone or help someone. That has been my ultimate goal, and now it's actually more than ever, especially since the experience that I had. So without further ado, I want to dive in to tonight's session. Am I allowed to go? Okay. All right. So tonight's discussion is about living through domestic violence is the topic, right? So I actually wanted to cover a few things tonight. I wanted to cover what domestic violence is and what it looks like, and then I also wanted to give you some tips of how you can get out. And then the third thing I wanted to talk about is when you're out, what does recovery look like? What are the things that you need to do? Because all of those are very important. And the reason why the first part of the knowledge that I say, like, okay, knowledge is key, is because when I was going, I mean, I've had a few things in my life, I've witnessed a few things, and I grew up with questions, and I was confused, and when you don't know things, you're vulnerable, so people take advantage of it. So I think it's very great to have knowledge and to have people around you that will educate you about what you're going through. Because for me, I will tell you, people even look at me, they're like, how are you a therapist and you didn't see the signs? Easy. It's easy. It's easy because number one, the type of abuse that I went through was narcissist, NPD abuse. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to diagnose the other person. And I'm like, it's not multiple personalities. It's not bipolar. I just know something is off, And me, I'm a person of faith, and immediately I started fasting, I started praying, and I just and even people would say, like my family pastor would say, like something is just not right. Do you want to go see a counselor? And my partner at that time just refused, said that I needed it, and he refused to come. And
Hmm.
I learned that part of that personality is that they don't want to be identified. They don't want to know that they have a problem. So that was the
Hmm.
thing. So the first thing that I went through, and at that time, I didn't know what it was called. I just knew that I felt like I was on a roller coaster. So what that is called is the cycle of abuse. The cycle of abuse. At that time, I just knew, number one, this is exactly, it's so true. It's like 100% true. Number one, it's the tension building, the increase attitude starts to break down. You start seeing that person getting moody, and
Hmm.
you know that they're about to explode or something, an incident is about to happen. And then what happens? You dive into number two, which is um, incident. Either it's verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical, anger, blaming, arguing, threats, intimidating. All of that happens. The worst thing you can think of happens, right? Then three, reconciliation. The abuser apologizes. They give excuses. They blame the victim, and they deny the abuse ever occurred. And then
Hmm.
yeah. And then number four, what they will do is then all of a sudden they fold their hands and they're calm, like nothing happened. The honeymoon stage. And that's when they start to be naive. And then you get confused because you're like, wait a minute, this person was just abusing me. Now he's apologizing. Now he's super sweet. And I feel like that is the main reason why a lot of people, and I don't want to say women, I mean, because some men do get abused too, even as high as women, but
Sorry, you're muted.
okay, here I am.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
by accident. All right, so I'm here. So that I said sometimes that's why people stay because they get confused. That's why I stayed because I didn't know at that time it's called a cycle of abuse. I just know that he would be nice, and then next thing you know he would do something that's abusive, and then he will apologize and promise me all these things, and then but within the apology it was like blaming me, and then I'm like, what kind of thing is this? I was just like, I was saying to myself, I said, what? Oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, what kind of thing is this? I just knew it wasn't right, you know. And so knowledge is key. That what I just went over was the cycle of abuse. That's Does anyone have a question about cycle of abuse? Oh, okay.
Hi,
So we have
please, if you have noise in your background, please, let's mute ourselves.
Oh, okay. So sorry, it's muted now. Okay. All right. So Emma said, so true. The love bombing makes it so confusing. Okay, yes, that's another word. It's love bombing.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Love bombing. And I didn't know the title of it. I just knew that he would be extra, extra nice after doing something horrible. And then I would be like, okay, maybe he's changing. Maybe this is it. Maybe, oh, things are gonna work out. And I just noticed that it just kept repeating itself. And at that time, I really didn't know what the cycle of abuse. So education is very important. So the cycle of abuse, that's one. So now I'm gonna move on a little bit to I want to go over conflict versus abuse. And the reason why I want to go over this is because my ex was very good at manipulation and twisting things. And sometimes us as women, we get a little confused because we think that, listen, marriage and relationship, you're gonna have conflict, but there's a difference between normal conflict and there's a difference between things that are abnormal. So it's a conflict and then it's abuse, right? So conflict is like, oh, you disagree with your partner, but you're able to talk to your partner like, hey babe, let me sit down. I really didn't like what you're able to voice your opinion. Like, I really didn't like what happened today. This is how I'm feeling. That's conflict. That's normal conflict that you have because no marriage or no relationship is perfect. But Abuse is when you don't have a voice. You cannot say not something. If you say something, you're scared about what's going to happen. Yeah, you're scared about what's going to happen. And there was a point where I lost that voice. I lost that voice.
Okay, let's
I think
see.
someone's unmuted here.
Yeah, trying to
All
look
the
for.
co-hosts, please always mute people. All the co-hosts, please.
Okay. All right. So where was I? Okay. So now one thing I want to talk about is I want to get into the education part because again, knowledge is key, you know, because when you have this knowledge, you're able to be proactive about what you're going to do to get better. What are you going to do to get out? But if you don't know what you're in and what you're going through, honestly, to me, I was sitting there, I just thought we were having problems. I knew I was being mistreated. I knew that, but he got so much into my brain that I wasn't thinking logically. I wasn't, I didn't have anyone. They isolate you. So when I began to get knowledge and understand what I was going through, it was easier for me to start to move on. So now I want to dive into typically what is domestic violence. Can someone answer what is domestic violence? You can type it in the chat. So you don't have to. Okay, you can type it through the chat. So you don't have to unmute yourself. You can type in the chat. I just want to see people, interacting. Let's make this interactive. So what do you think domestic violence is? So when the general public thinks about domestic violence, right, they usually think of terms of physical assault, right? Oh, I got injured. He punched me. He kicked me. But the thing about it is, this is not the only type of abuse. There's so many. There's so many. I'm gonna dive into so many different types of abuse that a lot of us probably went through in the past and really didn't even know that, okay, this is domestic, this falls under domestic violence. It's not just physical, and honestly, there is different categories in physical abuse as well. So I'm gonna give you all that knowledge so that you can have that. And if you're in that relationship now, this can be an eye opener, right? So the question I'm gonna ask is, are you being abused? Are you abused? Do you know? Do you know? So here, I'm gonna go over some things that is abusive, that they, is categorized as domestic abuse, okay? And then you can kind of comment if you're familiar with it, if you went through it. So one thing is embarrass you or make fun of you in front of your friends or family. Sometimes they will, I've had that, and my ex used to sarcastically make like comments. And at that time, my mom had said something to me. She was like, why would he talk about how you look in front of everybody? Like, I feel like that's, you don't do that. If anything, you should compliment your wife or your other spouse. And if you have something to say about them, you say it in private. But he said it out loud, and me, I was blinded. I didn't even see. I was just like, oh my, it's okay. He didn't mean anything by it. That's okay. But he did that a lot of times. He would say things about me and in public, and it was embarrassing. And my family and friends to know me, as if you've known me when I was younger or you know me when I was little, they knew that I was being controlled and I wasn't thinking clearly, if that makes any sense. And then another thing is put down your accomplishments, not supportive. That's a big one. That's a big one. With me, as you know, I'm not lazy. I'm very outgoing. I like to do things, and that was stripped away from me for a while. He would sabotage everything I wanted to do. If I had I don't know, a speaking engagement like this, he will start a fight that night.
Wow.
Yeah, he would start a fight that night, and I wouldn't be able to go to that speaking engagement. That's just an example. So if you're going through stuff like, yeah,
we have some comments we have some responses to your question in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Linda said it's a pattern of abuse where there is control by one partner. Then Mommy Uwa said, when your partner engages in actions that demean your person. DY said, DV is a pattern of behavior where one person is exerting power and control over another, typically between intimate partners.
Yeah. Like again, like when I was going through it, I did a lot of research because I didn't understand, and I found that they typically on a scale are abusive towards the intimate partner, and that's why it's also it's hard for some women because they'll try to get help, and depending on the individual. For me, I went through narcissistic personality disorder abuse. The person was MPD, and very charming on the outside, well respected person. So for me, when I was telling my story or I was trying to get help, people didn't believe me, you know. So usually they're one way outside, but to their intimate partner, they're different. They're like a monster. And to me, it was just like I was crying out, but nobody was hearing me. You know, I was crying out, no one would hear me. I mean, my family did, but at that time, he did it in a way where it's very sneaky. I didn't even know what was happening, but slowly stripping me away from family and friends, you know, to a point where my sister had said something to me like, "You're not yourself. You usually everyone calls me Mama Santa Claus because when Christmas comes around, I like to decorate the tree. Everybody cook something. Let's gather. I'm the one that does that. But when one year I didn't do it, the next year I didn't do it, they started noticing that, okay, I'm not being
Something
myself.
was wrong.
Yeah. So someone put here, do you want me to read it or would you like to read it?
Sure, I can. She's asking, are there scenarios where the abuser, sorry, it just disappeared on me. Are there scenarios where the abuser, say husband, pretends to be highly supportive of career efforts, but then when he decides he's done with the relationship, then he shows his true inner feelings of jealousy, envy, and I believe insecurity?
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. Uh, yes. So that I actually witnessed that. Here. Do you want me to read? Oh,
Sure.
hello? Oh, okay. So I'm going to answer the question to Emma. Absolutely. And usually I relate that to discarding. I feel like once they've kind of used you and they gotten what they want, then their true self kind of comes out, and that's a term of discard, you know. So it's just kind of like once they're done with whatever it is that they gotten, or if they're done with the relationship and they're looking for to move on, they kind of discard you like you're nothing, you know. And I hate to use the word trash, but you know, it's just like they put out the trash. That's how they look at you. They don't look at you with value, and everything that was meaningful to you, they can care less about. And sometimes they hold that. I mean, I don't know what, you know, you've been through, but I know sometimes they pretend and they wear a mask. They wear a mask and they will hide all of that. But then when it comes to, and that highly supportive, they're not really highly supportive. It's just an act. It's just an act, and it could be part of the abuse, you know. Again, the honeymoon stage probably is just a time where they're being extra nice and they're making you believe that they're supporting you, but they're not. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. She said, thanks so much. I think it does.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I want to move on to types of abuse. So I'm going to go over a few types of abuse, and I would love for people. I'm really loving the fact that we're engaging and people are writing things in the chat. So it's more interactive thing. So I'm going to go over some of the types of abuses. And if you can type in the comments, just begin to name types of abuses, and I'm gonna go over it. Because the funny thing is, I didn't know the types of abuses. All I was familiar with was uh, physical. I knew a few like emotional. You know, but when you dive down and you look, and you're like, wow. So that's why I felt so awful. That's why it was so bad and it was so traumatic for me. So number one, everyone always thinks about physical abuse. Physical abuse is there, absolutely. Um, Actually, let me see if I can find it. So physical abuse is some people think of it as is hitting the partner only. But
Mm.
funny enough, physical abuse has to do with damage to property when a person is angry. Does your individual throw objects? Do they punch walls? Do they kick doors? I had a lot of that, a lot of it, to the point where even like I did have a failed relationship before that, and he would mistreat my son. He would break his things and trash his things when he get angry, simply because my son left a toy on the floor and didn't
Mm.
clean it up. So there was a few times where my son's rooms were trashed. I woke up 12 o'clock in the morning. He's banging, he's slamming things, telling me I'm not gonna sleep. There's no peace. Um, it was just horrible. So that actually falls under the category of physical abuse. You know, um, punches, slaps, bites, kicks, and chokes, um, abandons you in dangerous situations or unfamiliar places. So say you're driving, you guys go out, and he just leaves you somewhere and he knows it's not safe for you and drives off. That's actually under the category. Scares you by driving recklessly, uses a weapon to threaten or hurt you, forces you to leave your home, traps you in your home. I think someone
Yeah, there's a comment like that.
yeah,
She
okay.
said, restraining in a room, even without causing physical harm,
Yeah.
holding wife down, like pinning the person down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's actually on there. How many of us knew that that was kind of like physical abuse?
Yeah,
I
it is.
I mean, yeah. So that's physical abuse, restraining someone in the room, and I think by law that's called I don't know, harassment or something like that. But it does. And then someone else put something else down there.
Yelling down on someone with intent to intimidate, making threats of physical harm, even if they don't.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. That's all here. Um and another thing is preventing you from calling the police or seeking medical attention. um that's a popular one too. um I had an incident where uh I wanted to get something, and it was just like he had this image of I was just to stay in the house, I was to cook, take care of the kids, and that was it. It
Huh.
was like I'm not supposed to have a life, I'm not supposed to go out. um and I did it for years. I didn't go to a lot of things. But there was an incident where I was trying to get out, and he blocked the door and stood in front of the door. I was not allowed to leave the house. So,
So
mhm.
at this time, if you don't mind, I want to ask a question because I think we might have some people on here who are in that phase right now.
Okay.
How did you keep it together? Like, I know you're a mental therapist and all of that. How did you keep yourself, I mean, your mind and be sane and even have to plan how to get out of this? How did you keep it
Oh,
together while you
yeah,
were
this
going
is
through?
actually towards the end, but no problem. I can share that right now with you. So, some things that
Can I drink your cup? Yo.
so some things
Please
that
mute
that
your line.
help. Some things that helped me was awareness. I wasn't aware, like I told you. I surrounded myself like-minded people, positive people. um and I reached out to a credible person. Like, you don't want to just go around telling everyone your business. You want to make sure that this person has good intentions for you, and that's going to really help you. And the one person that helped me, actually, she's the person that introduced me to TouchLink. I reached out and I told her what like, because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to I didn't want to tell anyone. This was the second failed relationship, and I just felt like I failed myself. So I didn't want to speak up, and a lot of people don't want to speak up, but you have to tell someone. If awareness, learning about telling someone and learning about what you're going through. So I got in touch with TouchLink, and I was able to get resources to understand what I was going through, and that helped me. And the second thing is community help. Community help, find support groups, find counseling. talk to a counselor, talk to someone. I find it when you talk to someone that doesn't know you, you tend to be comfortable and then you just spill all the beans. So
Yeah.
it's good to actually speak to someone that is neutral, that doesn't know you, and so that you feel comfortable talking to them. And then also get involved. Self-care is the biggest thing that you can do. Begin to start to love yourself again. Know your value, because when you know your value and you know your worth, it'd be hard for you to settle for abuse. You kind of get that confidence that you lost, the
Mhm.
confidence that you lost and they tried to strip you away of. You regain that and you rebuild that, and that helps you to get on your feet, to be a better version of yourself, um, and to get the help you need. Then also you need to identify why you're in it. What is unhealthy for you. you know there was a point where I was sitting there and I thought about what my life was before I got in that relationship. It was kind of like a reflection, self-reflection. I began to reflect on how happy I was before I got in that relationship. I began to think about how happy I want to be again, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And because I remember my life, I was bubbly. I had like there was a point where I began to have physical ailments, and I realized that me at the young age, I'm going to see a cardiologist. Why?
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
So then for me, I started like kind of like, do I want to live the rest of my life like this? Do I want to die?
Hmm.
And then reality sets in. And another thing is, I did a lot of like research on line and praying, and you want to weigh what a healthy relationship looks like and what a not healthy relationship looks like. So when you realize that point, what is unhealthy for you while you're in it, that will help you with to beginning to snap out of it and work your way out of this. Then you want to create towards the end of my incident, my I don't even know what you want to call it, but I would say marriage. Let's own it. I don't really like to talk. I am secretive, but
Mhm.
the end of my marriage, a lot of people don't know, but it's okay. I'm not embarrassed anymore. I'm over that. I created a safety plan, and I didn't do that on my own. I did that with the help of TouchLink. I was aware of safety plans, but when you're in that situation, it's hard for you to think. You don't even know where to start. You don't know what to do. So they helped me, and then I also did my own research, and I said, okay, because there's a generic safety plan of how you can do things, but you can't follow it that way because you got to be careful. It depends on the partner you have. If that person monitors you, you got to be very careful. So you have to do it based on what's safe for you and what is safe for the kids. So creating a safety plan pretty much is, for me, I began to take like important documents out of the house, for
Hmm.
me and the kids, and I stored it at my mom's house. I just took like everything that was valuable that I think that he would hold or try to like, take it if I leave. So I began to create a safety plan. Where am I going to go? Uh, what would I do? I just kind of wrote everything down. And then I had a time where I gave myself some time to execute that plan. And I did it slowly. I did it safely. That's the thing,
Mhm.
do it safely. And I was able to get out that way. And then I also we have a lot of comments, I think.
Kind of like people supporting. DY said, safety plan must be tailored towards your needs. And our facilitator, Arco, who said, she's talking about you reintroducing you to those who just joined. And someone else said a lot of people don't even realize they're being abused until years later.
Hmm.
Until years later.
Yeah, and that's so true. Because I honestly, I'm a little bit of a tough cookie. I can take a lot, um, but I didn't realize that until I I got the help and I surrounded myself around a good support system, and they started pointing out things that I was blind to. I just knew it wasn't right. But sometimes when you're in love and you're not thinking with your, your mind, you're thinking with your heart, it's easy for you to get wrapped up in the hype and what is not real. Because honestly, it's like you're in love with a person that is not real. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, they're
Doesn't
not
exist.
real. Yeah, and I kept having like this mind of how nice he is when he's
Right.
nice,
Mm.
and that's what a lot of us is. Just like it's almost as if you forget all the bad they do. It's like you're
Right.
numb to that, and you sit there, you just think of the nice person, but it's a fake image. And as
Right.
much as you want that person to stay that way, they're not. They just take you on a roller coaster, and you
Yeah.
have to know when to get off.
Yeah, it's really amazing that you said that. We have a comment from someone here that says abusers are great actors and they
Hmm.
usually have two personalities. The person
Mm-hmm.
said they wear a mask,
Woo!
imaginary mask, when they go out and take it off when they get in the house, which is
Woo!
where they show their true colors. I mean, this person is speaking from experience. And then she
Yeah.
says outsiders think of them as angels, and that's why they don't believe the
Mm.
victims. She said she experienced everything that's been said and
Mm.
have been said that was said on Saturday. She said she was physically, verbally, mentally, and emotionally abused to the worst extent anyone could ever imagine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would like to comment on that. And you know what? This
Mm.
part is what broke me because, like I said, I am a woman of faith, and my ex, he doesn't miss a service. He doesn't miss a church
Wow.
service.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
When the church doors open, he's there. So I was saying to him, I was so confused. I said, how can somebody be in the church and be singing, smiling, everyone loves him, and then
Wow.
comes home as a different person? And when
Mm.
I try to get help, they're like, what do you mean? That nice
What must
one?
be wrong with you? Yeah. Wow.
Right. So
Wow.
I just didn't have any help. But that's the dangerous part when they wear that mask and they're one person to everyone else and they're well respected in society. Sometimes they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're even pastors sometimes,
Sometimes,
And
yeah.
one thing that they say is like, for me, someone had mentioned to me, I think it was my spiritual advisor at that time, was telling me that some people are in the church but not in Christ.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that made me kind of like have comfort with that, knowing that okay, this person may be there, but that's why. Because I just couldn't understand that. So yeah, I totally agree. Like it's the worst thing you can ever imagine. And yes, I think it's a dual diagnosis, to be honest with you. Multiple
Mm.
personalities, and some of
Personality.
them have a mix of other things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
manic, they can be up, they can be down. And if you're a person that is kind of like whole and you're dealing with a broken person, because these people, to be honest with you, they're broken. They're broken.
Yes. That's true.
They're
That's
broken.
true. Yeah.
Let's be honest. They're broken, and then they come into a relationship to break you,
Bro-
and that's
yeah.
not fair on you.
Right. Right. Right.
That's not fair. And some of these, okay. So Joyce said, my ex-husband was a leader in church. Woo!
I
You preaching
know.
to the choir,
Mm.
okay?
Mm.
You are preaching to the choir.
Wow.
And wow, it's just so sad because you think that that's a place where, and honestly, I'm not
And the safety.
right.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's what I
Yeah.
meant to say.
Yeah.
You think that you're safe. You think that this person can't do anything because if
Hmm.
they love God, they apparently are going to love you,
You,
right?
yes, unconditionally. Yeah.
Unconditionally. But if you think of, if you, I mean, I don't want to, start preaching, but if you go back to the word, that's not how God describes how a husband should treat his wife, is not how they treat us.
Yeah. Levita is saying something here. Um, okay, Tiffany said most
Yes,
narcissists
my friend.
seek positions of power. Then Levita says, I think a huge part of it is conditioned behavior. She
Mm,
says That's how the abusive guy gravitates you and you fall in love. Once
Mm.
the love is there, that persona comes down in the household, yet still maintains the persona outside of the household. It's very scary and feels like you're walking on eggshells, you
Yeah.
know. So we have a question here. She
Hmm.
said, Mommy Dausa says, I'm wondering, do they themselves know who they are and what they do? And I want to ask to add to that question, you have some of these people that abuse their partners. And after it's done, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. They're crying, they're buying flowers, they're on their best behavior for the next couple of days or weeks until something triggers that again. So would you say they really know? Because I think one of the reasons why some women stay so long in such relationships is they feel like he needs help. He doesn't mean it. He really loves me
Hmm.
and he'll get better. He's trying. So what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, that's what I did. I just kept saying that he would get better. And I started changing things about myself. I was like, okay, maybe if I lose weight, he will, because after my daughter I gained weight, he'll love me more. You start to blame yourself. Or maybe if he's yelling at me, I just shut up at this point.
Mhm.
So um yeah, it's honestly, they don't change. They really don't change. It's just a circle. They don't change, because I kept saying to myself, I was like, okay, this is the time. But they can beg, they can
Hmm.
cry.
Hmm.
I remember the very end, mine got on the knees, cried, begged, but then went around and did something. It's just like it's a whole big mess. Like they're just unstable is the word to say. And when you're someone that is kind of logical and you're stable and you can think like a normal person, getting with
Right.
something like that, it just ruins everything. It ruins your thought process. And
Hmm.
in our minds, we're thinking that, oh, if we change ourselves or if we lower ourselves, they're gonna change. No, that's a process of them actually breaking us down so that they can control us more.
Wow. Wow. Okay. At this point, if you can just give me a few minutes, let me just thanks again, those of you who are just joining us again. If you don't know me, my name is Tokes Ayola, and our wonderful speaker here is Felicia Babalola. If this is your first time joining us, you're welcome. We are TouchLink. We're a not-for-profit organization, and we're here actually to stand with victims of domestic violence to help them regain their lives, because a lot of people lose their lives, lose themselves in the process. And this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we have a month long, we have so many sessions, different sessions that will help educate us and help people get out of whatever situation they're going through. For more information about us and our services, please visit our website, www.touchlink.org. Better still, register to work with us. Spread the news on social media everywhere you can. We need your support. We need your help. I just thought I should put that there real quickly because some of us joined late. And I'm sorry for the breaking transmission. We'll continue with our wonderful speaker. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely support. It's a great, great, great support group. They saved my life, And oh, I forgot to mention another thing is that um, abusers and those that have NPD, narcissist personality disorder, they target their victims. They know who to target. They know who to target, and usually it's people that are vulnerable. For me, I had a failed relationship. I don't know, maybe in his mind he felt like I was desperate, and I would do anything to make it work, even if it caused me to go through so much to try to make it work. Um, so I think someone said something, narcissists copy you, so you fall in
Yes,
love with
yes,
a
I said that. Yeah.
reflection of yourself. Oh yeah. A narcissist personality is another level. That one is I personally think is the most dangerous abuse that you can go through. because they do things like gaslighting. Um, is anyone familiar with gaslighting?
No, I'm not.
You're not familiar? Okay, let me
No.
share.
And
Well, let me tell you.
and while we're on the topic, can you please, because some of us are just like wondering and we don't know exactly what you mean by narcissist. I know I
Oh,
heard of Hitler being a narcissist. Would you mind just defining that so that people can really understand? I think we might be having some, teenagers or something watching us from YouTube so that they really get it what we're saying. So if you don't
okay.
mind just
So
defining
I
that.
did have absolutely. I'll tell you what a narcissist is. So I have some notes here because I didn't want to forget.
Okay.
So narcissist is this is a type of manipulation and control. It can be slow
Mm.
and very sneaky. It creeps into the relationship and they destroy your sense of self before you even have the chance to discover what is happening. Like
Wow.
that is so powerful.
Wow.
When you become a victim of narcissist abuse, you completely lose sight of your values and the value of your needs. You drop your boundaries, surrender control to another person. And with that, when you surrender control, your personality and your happiness is compromised. So narcissist abuse, it often happens with threats, fear, terror, psychological mind games, gaslighting, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. It ties all into and projection.
Right.
Projection. So a narcissist does not. They're like it stems from their childhood is what I learned sometimes, how they was raised, if they witness abuse, and they don't have empathy for people. They do not value anyone else because they only are able to see their own needs, desires, and perspectives. Um, Healing from narcissists or growing up with a narcissist, 'cause sometimes some people have narcissistic parents. The people don't talk about that a lot, you know. But one thing I would say is breaking free from narcissism is the only first step in healing. In order to fully thrive in wake of a narcissist abuse, you have to understand how this abuse impacted your life and then work to correct it through understanding what you went through and self-love and self-care. So I have to, pardon me, I have to go through the signs of narcissist abuse
Right.
because I didn't know what the titles was. I just knew I was going through things. And when I looked at the titles, I would start screaming because I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like they wrote a book about my ex.
Wow.
So the first thing is gaslighting. This is the most dangerous thing that they do. And I'm not going to read this because I know this all so well, but gaslighting is when the person will um they will do things and get into your mind, right? Withholding, blocking, denial. And then when you speak about that issue, like the narc or your partner, they will begin to deny it. They'll minimize it. They'll begin to act in anger. And then this is the most important part. It causes the victim, which is us or whoever, to
Right.
question your own emotions and your sanity.
Hmm.
They start to make you feel like you're crazy. Like, for example, let me give you a real life situation. I'm not going to tell you a story, but I'm just going to give you a perfect example. It could be like you wash dishes, right? You know,
Uh-huh.
you cleared the sink. The sink is clear. You wiped it down. You sat down. You're watching TV. That person goes in and they puts a dish in there, right? And
Uh-huh.
you go over and you look. You say, ah, this dish wasn't here. Did you not fighting? But you could possibly say, oh, this dish wasn't here. Did you just put that dish in there? They may say to you, what are you talking about? What dish? The dish was there before, I was there. And then you start to sit there and think like, am I going
Am I losing my marbles?
why am I, was that dish not there? Wait a minute. And you start to question your
Hmm.
sanity. But I mean, dishes is far from what they do, but they do that without in the relationship. And it starts to cause people to go crazy. Like people start to really have mental issues because they can't think. And oh my God, Like, I'm such a victim of gaslighting. I didn't know what it was called. I'm like, what are you talking about? We just, like, why are you doing this? Like, and it was
Mhm.
gaslighting. And I think someone mentioned, yeah, someone mentioned gaslighting makes you question your reality. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like you're in a pretend world. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. Linda said, it's making you question your sanity. Like maybe you're losing your marbles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I definitely thought I was going crazy for a minute. I won't lie. I was really like out of it. I was like, I was just like, he was very good at gaslighting. You would actually start to believe that something is wrong with you. Yes. Yes. And I kept thinking, I'm like, maybe it's just me. Maybe I just need to do this. It's not you, it's them. It's not. Walking on eggshells. I think someone mentioned that before.
Yes, somebody did.
Yeah. Like for me, little decisions that like as a woman I'll be able to like make, I had to like tread lightly with everything because I didn't want to get him angry. I didn't want to cause a fight. I wasn't able to do like little decisions like just go to the store and pick up something. If I was at the
Right.
store, I had to FaceTime what I'm getting. You know, if I came home and I got something and I didn't tell him, it was a fight, it was argument. So walking around eggshells, not knowing what that their mood is gonna be too. Someone that is unstable, that is broken, that is an abusive person, they have a lot of mood swings.
Huh.
How many of us can testify to the mood swings? Well, we have a lot of messages.
So Jenna said, narcissistic abuse is prevalent. However, victims aren't aware that they're being abused because the abusers confuse the minds of their victims. They're charming and
Mm,
cunning, and that's how they fish for their victims.
mm,
Um, Dr. Brenda said people who gaslight will make you minimize your own feelings. Uh,
mm.
Tiffany said they have selective memory.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah. Joy said my ex-husband bought me flowers and gifts a lot. Apologized a lot, but will turn around the next minute and do the same thing over and over again.
one. Yeah.
DY said most victims thought they can fix them. Is that correct? And I have a question I want to ask also. So, this circles back to those of us who are Christians, who we have faith in God. You might be on here, you're not necessarily a Christian, maybe you're a Muslim or something. So where do we now start separating this is the work of the devil and this is this person's personality? Because I think for a lot of us believers, we believe that with prayer, we can pray some things away and this person will change. So you being someone who has survived this, how do you draw the line? Like where do you draw the line that okay, um maybe I need to give this person some room and God take care of this person, that kind of thing? Or do I just stay, like how do you make that? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Because
no, absolutely. Actually, in the beginning of the relationship, I kept blaming the devil. I went on a fasting and I was praying, and but then when I realized that it was a little bit abnormal, the cycle was continuing. It was just like a whole cycle. I realized that it was a little bit more. Um, it was something. It was a personality disorder,
right,
and even when I seeked some advice from a pastor of mine, a family pastor of mine, he even had, he said besides, prayer, that person has to want to get professional help, and then you back it up with prayer, because apparently this person does need some therapy services, does need help because there's a lot more going on. And that particular person was in the medical field as well, and he was also a pastor. So he was giving me the best of both worlds. He was giving me the spiritual aspect, and he was also giving me like the reality of where, like how we're living. Like he needs therapy. So I hope that answers it. You
Yeah,
have
let
to
me,
really,
I'm
okay.
going to chip in over there. Yeah, that person is actually correct.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time, we, especially as people of faith, we just, take it to prayer, fast and pray. That from the place of prayer, God will give you wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say this is you cannot negate the effect of spirituality, which is, your intimacy with God and what God do in the place of prayer. That
Mm-hmm.
is, so valuable. But that's where you get the wisdom, but it must be backed up with actions, realities, things that, and this is not something that a victim or a survivor can do by yourself. So you really need the guidance of good people around you to do this, to be able to seek God first, because 99% of people that I've dealt with have actually at that time, when the time it becomes violent, they have lost their place with God. Because they have balanced or level up with the abuser. And God wants you to come back and seek him first. So when you go back to him, it's always good to go back to him, return to him, take care of yourself, take care of your own personal spirituality, your own personal work with God. That gives you sanity, that gives you peace, and it helps you, because that period, you can't make any type of good decision at that point.
Right.
At that point, in fact, you are so clouded.
Yeah.
Confused period. So it's always good to go back. And then from there, you now take the professional treatment, the professional guidelines. It's very important. The wisdom to act, the wisdom to do, to also get the right people, the right perspective, and the right steps that you need to take is very important.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
That
you
was
so much,
really
DY.
powerful.
Yes, that was awesome. That
Mm,
was awesome.
yeah.
All right,
So,
let me see comments. Okay, all right. Someone said men are more likely to be diagnosed with narcissism, and someone else said, I'm pained as I see these red flags developing in a young marriage, and the woman is already feeling out of her mind, making changes to align with her husband's complaints without success, already in and out of a 6-month-old marriage. Well, we're almost out of time. So my last question, if no one has a question, is you having walked this walk, I'm sure over the past couple of years, you can look at a couple and pick some telltale signs that, okay, I think this is going on. What would you say to someone who is either in a relationship right now? I mean, when you look back over your life, what were those telltale signs that you saw, that you ignored, and that you feel that are pointers to what could possibly lie ahead? And what advice would you have for anybody who's in that kind of situation right now, with or without children? Thank you.
absolutely. Some of the signs I saw was he moved pretty fast. Moved fast in the relationship. Rushed a lot of things. Um,
Can you elaborate on when you say rushed, moved fast? You mean in sweeping you off your feet, going to the
yeah.
altar, or?
You know how like relationships has its phases and it kind of gradually develops into something beautiful, right? It was
Mhm.
literally went from like friends to like not even getting to really know each other and rushing into marriage, and he was very pushy with it, like pushy to rush to marriage. And I know, like when I've spoken to a few of my friends that have gone through it, they say the same thing. A lot of them, that's like a common one. They rush it because the thing is, a narcissist, they can, with you, they're eventually gonna show their self. They can't hide it for too long,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. So I think like if you're gonna have like normal people date for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, and the person is willing to wait. But a narcissist, they will rush you. They're sweeping you. They don't have patience. They want to do what they want to do. You're their next you're their fry. You're their next supply, if that makes sense. So they're
Yeah.
not gonna just sit back and be nice the whole time. No, because they're so used to abusive pattern, they can't keep it together for so long. So they rush it. So once they have you down, you're married, you're tied down, they can kind of start that circle of
Mhm.
abuse. Another thing is anger. That's a red flag that I did see, and I'm embarrassed to say, but you know, he got angry a lot. He got angry quick, and he got angry a lot. That's a major one because when someone has anger issues, that stems so deep. You know, if they get angry, like I remember, like one time I didn't answer his call because I was busy, and he got so angry, like very possessive and very like, oh, you didn't, I called you 3 times, I was doing something. So that sign that someone could be very controlling, you
Mm.
know, when they're angry, when they're calling you and you don't answer and they get very angry about that, when they want to know where you are every 2 seconds. I feel like when someone is like hovering like over you constantly,
Possessive.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Very
that's a big
possessive.
one. You said?
Very possessive.
Yeah, that's a popular one actually. When you start to see a person's like, oh, who you with? Where'd you go? Oh, I called you. Why didn't you answer? That is a red flag. That's a
Mm.
red flag to turn around and actually run with your shoes off. So those are a few. I think there's some messages. Oh,
Yeah, Dr. Agu is asking a question. And
okay.
listen, people, Dr. Agu is going to be with us on October 18.
Oh,
We're going to be talking about turning pain into purpose. You don't want to miss that. So her
yeah.
question is this. So you have prayed and received counsel from spiritual authorities to stay. That's your
Mhm,
pastor, Mrs. But the
mhm.
but the counselors, Touchlink, advise you to flee because of the danger. You are a person of faith. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, for me, that was a dilemma, and I think that's why I stayed a little longer, because I felt like, you know, God wouldn't be happy with me if I divorced and I left. But honestly, God wants the best for you. You know, God doesn't want you to sit there and be abused. God doesn't want that, you know. So I had to actually kind of mentally say to myself, you know, and I did pray and I said, you know, the well being and the safety of me and my children are important. And I prayed about it, and I just kind of put it in prayer. I said, you know, God, if this is like offending you or if I'm doing something wrong, I'm really sorry, but you've seen everything I've been through. And that's how I was able to kind of come to terms with it and forgive myself for the decision that I made. And when I got advice as well, one of my pastors has said that, you know, because there was some infidelity in mine as well. So he did say there was a few, you know, things in the Bible that was excused for a reason to have a divorce. So, you know, you can read that up on your own time. But honestly, I think it's a decision. It's a decision of do you want to be alive today? You
Yeah.
know, do you want to be alive today?
Yeah.
Because they're not in the situation you are. So, yeah.
And I would top that. It's very important to also note that your body is, I mean, is God's temple.
Yes.
And God will also give you wisdom. It's good to be aware of visiting different pastors.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in a stable house of worship with good pastor, you know, a good pastor will tell you that
Mm-hmm.
when there is, I mean, your life is in danger,
Mm-hmm.
you are going through, there has to be separation.
Mm-hmm.
Divorce, I mean, the divorce is always the final decision. There has to be separation so that you can get help and be healed, so that that person or that perpetrator can also seek help. First of all, he needs to acknowledge that he has an issue. Then he needs to seek. You can't do that for him.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, that's not your business at that point. Your first primary responsibility is you and your children. A good spiritual counselor will tell you, especially where your life is in danger, you know, there's a whole lot of things that is unhealthy going on. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be separation. Separation does not mean end of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a minister of God and I've counseled people. I've seen family that have gone through it, separated, got treatment individually, and they came back together, and today they are living well.
Wow,
That is so
that's
important.
good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
And it does
Thank you
vary.
so much, DY, for sharing that. We have a question. It's actually from DY. She was asking about the children perspective. You know, by the time you have kids, the dynamics are different. You can't just, like I'm done, I'm done. You're thinking about you want their father to be there with them and everything. So she's asking, how did you handle your children during and after? You know, like while your husband was breaking up their toys and doing all sorts of things and getting out of the house. How did the kids handle it? How did you communicate that, okay, daddy is not going to we're not going to be living with daddy any longer? How did you manage that process?
Well, the first thing that I came to mind is uh, being from a broken home is better than being in a broken home. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of these things stem from their childhood. So there was times where I started, like my son in particular, he it was affecting him because he's a little bit older, and at that time they don't really know how to appropriately channel their emotions when they're angry. So kids often act out, or
Mm,
so my son, when I realized I was getting calls from his school and they were telling me to come pick him up, that he can't come back until he was evaluated, um, because he said some threatening things in class and they were concerned about him. That's
wow.
when I woke up and I said, if it's not for me, they don't deserve to go through that. You want to think about how they're going to turn up, because if I mean, this doesn't happen all the time, but it is common. Sometimes when you witness abuse, you too become an abuser.
Mm,
And I thought about that for my son. He's a male. Is this what I want to teach him? Is this how I want him to think that a woman should be treated?
wow.
And I thought about that, and I cried and I wept and I said, I can't, I gotta protect them. I can't have them, because, honestly, if you don't, they're gonna be damaged. And you want to think about their safety, and raising them to know how to treat someone, especially even for my daughter. I didn't want her to think that this is how a man should treat someone, you know? So my kids were the reason where I went, that's it. When I saw, my son cry and he was becoming depressed at a young age, I said, he doesn't deserve that. And
Mm,
honestly, as a mother, if you really think about that, the safety of your kids should be first. You should, and then after, because of course, I think the end of the question was like during and then after. So during, that's what I did. And then what I did, one thing I did do, a lot of people don't do, is I put my son in counseling. He's young, but I put him in counseling. Mm-mm.
wow.
And honestly, confession, he's still into counseling to today.
Wow. Wow.
He has counseling twice a week because it was traumatic for him. And he speaks about things that he doesn't speak to me about, but I'm just happy that he's getting that help, so that when he grows up as a young man, he's not going to be damaged, he's not going to be broken. He would have already gotten that help that he needs. After, what I did was, I created boundaries, because visitation rights are there. I
Right.
still have to socialize with him, but I do pray very hard, because even with, you know, that we're not together, he still tries to control me through the kids. That's another thing. So you have to deal with that. But I put my foot down, and honestly, I have to keep redrawing the line. Like, you draw the line, they erase it. Okay, you got to keep redrawing that line. And honestly, when you're grounded and you're like healed and you're getting the help you need, you'll be able to withstand all of that, because you're not that weak person anymore. You've
Right.
recovered. You're stronger. So it's
Yes.
not that bad, but you do have to do work. Self-care, self-love, prayer, meditation, whatever it is that you got to keep your mind, so that your mind and your sanity is in a healthy place, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. 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 This has been so enriching. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so very much for, wow, such an awesome session. And for everyone online, come on, you guys were amazing. Thank you all for the questions, for the comments, for the contribution. I mean, thank God for each and every one of us that's here. And at this point in time, I know we could go on for the next 1 hour, but it is a work week. So before we leave, few announcements, please. Like I said earlier on, this is TouchLink. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be having 2 sessions, Mondays and Thursdays, for the whole month of October. The grand finale is going to be October 30th. We are a not-for-profit organization. We stand with victims of domestic violence so that they can regain their lives and know how to be reabsorbed back into society and realize their full potential. And in doing so, we give a lot of resources. Some are monetary. She talked about, counseling services. We do all of that. So in order for us to do these things, we need your support. And that support is monetary. So if you don't mind, the link is on there. Please consider donating something to us. If you go to our website, we have t-shirts like the lovely t-shirt I'm wearing. It's just $20. Please buy something, donate, register. We'll be meeting again on Thursday. On Thursday, we'll be talking about sexual assault. It's actually also another type of abuse, but I don't know much about that, but our speaker on Thursday knows a lot about that. And so go on social media, share this. It's on YouTube. You can copy the link, share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, on your WhatsApp status. Please support what we're doing. We really, really appreciate you. And if you're having any issues whatsoever, reach out to us. You can send an email to info@touchlink.org. DY, that's Yewande Efodili. We call her DY. It's cute and short and to the point. She will get back to you and will create a customized plan for you. But in the meantime, be safe and remember, your life is important. Okay, your life is important. You owe yourself a responsibility to stay alive and stay sane. And we hope to see you soon. So thank you so much for joining us. DY, do you have anything to say?
I just want to say, everybody, thank you so much for joining. I know I'm proud of you. And let everybody know we're going to share this link. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is going to be on YouTube. Please share. It is valuable information, and it can save life. And I want to tell you, because it's not happening to you, but there are people around you that are going through this. So these are useful information that you can use to guide and help the people around you. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm so proud of you. Thanks for joining. Everyone, I see you. Thank you. Thank you so
much, Miss Felicia. Thank you. Thank you, everyone on here.
So much. Mommy Tayo Balogun. Thank you. Thank you, Manuela. Thank you, Gladys, my sister. I hope you're feeling better now. Love you so much. Thank you. Thanks,
everyone. Please share the link on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Dr. Linda, thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. And our facilitator tonight, oh my God, Felicia, thank you so much. I love you. That was so wonderful. Thank you. God will continue to keep and bless everybody in Jesus' name. He will protect you, will direct your steps. God bless everybody. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thursday. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Sister Kemi Tifley. Oh, Chichi, my sister Chinelo.
Hey,
Brenda, thank you. Are you joining from Nigeria?
Wow.
Sister Joy. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.